In this video, we're going to dive deeper into our trip to the Tower of London. So if you're interested in British history or just curious about the Tower of London, keep watching. This is the Tower of London. Rising along the River Thames, the Tower of London is one of Britain's most iconic and storied landmarks. Building began with William the Conqueror in 1078. This medieval fortress has served as a royal palace, prison, treasury, and even a zoo. Its thick stone walls have witnessed centuries of intrigue, betrayal, and power struggles, making it a must-see destination for anyone fascinated by British history, like me. The Tower of London sits on roughly 18 acres of land in and around the area of central London. While building began in 1078, it underwent expansions in the 12th, 13th, and 14th centuries. It became a UNESCO World Heritage Site in 1988. We've shared a link to their website in the description so you can check out the hours of operation and the various ticket prices. We each purchased a basic ticket, and then I got the audio tour for a few euros more. It was incredible to stand at a site nearly 1,000 years old with the modern skyline of London rising just behind it. The contrast was striking and honestly a little overwhelming to capture on camera. Whether filming inside or out, I found myself more focused on simply taking it all in than worrying about getting the perfect shot. One of the most powerful spots was Traitor's Gate, part of Sir Thomas's Tower. It was built by Edward I as a water entrance to the tower, where prisoners were brought in by barge along the Thames. They would pass under the London Bridge, where the heads of the recently executed were displayed on spikes. Notable figures like Sir Thomas More entered the tower through this very gate. If you happen to book a tour or see someone on the grounds dressed like this, they are known as Beefeaters. Officially called the Yeoman Warders, each one of them has served at least 22 years in the armed forces and has been awarded the Long Service and Good Conduct Medal. There are currently 37 Beefeaters, and they actually live here at the tower with their families. The Tower Green is the site where Lady Margaret Pole, Queen Anne Boleyn, Queen Catherine Howard, and Lady Jane Grey were executed, among other notable figures. This memorial to them is located just a few feet away. While Henry VIII made sure the best executioner was brought in from France for his second wife, Anne Boleyn, taking her head off with just one swing of the sword, others, like Lady Margaret Pole, didn't fare out so well. It is said that the blundering executioner hacked her head and shoulder to pieces. Just behind the Tower Green is the Chapel Royal of St. Peter ad Vincula, our next stop on our self-guided tour. This is one of two main chapels on the grounds and holds regular services to this day. The current structure dates back to 1520, but a church was established on the site around the 12th century. There are many who are laid to rest inside this chapel, including the four noble women previously mentioned, Margaret, Anne, Catherine, and Jane, along with Anne's brother George Boleyn, Viscount of Rochford, and Thomas Cromwell, Earl of Essex. Lady Jane Grey's father, Henry Grey, Duke of Suffolk, and her husband, Lord Guilford Dudley, along with his father, John Dudley, 1st Duke of Northumberland, are also here. All four met the executioner's block under Queen Mary I for their role in putting Lady Jane Grey on the throne, usurping it from Mary in defiance of the Third Succession Act. While I could go on about this time in history for hours, I'll post a link to the Third Succession Act in the description if you want to learn more. The other chapel, St. John's, was built in 1080 as part of the 11th century White Tower, which stands in the center of the Tower of London's grounds. We ran out of time to visit the White Tower on this trip, unfortunately. The White Tower is also the location in 1674 where the remains of two children were found under a staircase. They are believed to be the remains of the boys who became known as the Princes in the Tower, who disappeared in 1483. Young Edward V and his brother Richard Shrewsbury, Duke of York, were ages 12 and 10 the last time they were seen. This was prior to what should have been Edward's coronation as the next King of England. What exactly happened to the young boys has remained a mystery for the last 5 centuries. We then made our way to the Beauchamp Tower, built in 1281 under the reign of Edward I. Side note, Edward I is the common ancestor of Henry VIII and all 6 of his wives. Some through his first wife, Eleanor of Castile, and others from his second wife, Marguerite of France. Both of Henry VIII's parents are descendants of Edward I through the lines of Edward III. The coronation chair that Edward I had commissioned in 1296 is still used today and located in Westminster Abbey. You can see King Charles III, the current reigning monarch of England, during his coronation in 2023, sitting on the chair. The tower is named for Thomas Beauchamp, who was imprisoned there in the 14th century for rebelling against Richard II. The tower's walls are thick but contain thin corridors as a means of defense. It was not originally built as a prison, but was used as one right up until the 20th century. The last people who were imprisoned in the Tower of London were the Cray twins, Ronnie and Reggie, who were held there for a few days in 1952 for failing to report for national service. The last execution at the Tower of London was in 1941 when German spy Joseph Jacobs was shot by a firing squad. Some notable people who were prisoners in the tower include William Penn, a Quaker imprisoned for his religious beliefs. He later led a group of Quakers to North America and founded the province, now state of Pennsylvania, on the principles of religious freedom and democracy. Lady Jane Grey stayed in the tower during her imprisonment by Queen Mary I. She was just 16 when she was put on the throne and is forever known as the 9-Day Queen, which is how long she lasted until Mary and her supporters arrived in London and sent her to the tower. Sir Thomas More, now known in the Catholic Church as St. Thomas More, was Lord Chancellor to King Henry VIII. He resigned from his role due to his refusal to support Henry's attempts at annulling his marriage to his first wife, Catherine of Aragon, and his refusal to accept Henry as the leader of the Church of England over the Pope. This eventually led to his arrest on charges of heresy and his eventual beheading at Tower Hill. More was declared a martyr in 1935 by Pope Pius XI and a saint by Pope John Paul II in 2000. Queen Anne Boleyn, Henry VIII's second wife, was famously held at the Tower Beauchamp before her coronation, and then again in the same room before her execution on charges of adultery, incest, and treason, which came about after she was unable to provide Henry with the male heir he longed for. He would go on to marry his third wife, Jane Seymour, 11 days later. Anne's daughter, the future Queen Elizabeth I, was held at the Tower as a prisoner in 1554 by her sister Queen Mary I. She was imprisoned due to suspicions of Elizabeth's involvement in the Wyatt Rebellion. This rebellion aimed to overthrow Mary and replace her with Elizabeth, who was a Protestant and a potential figurehead for those opposed to Mary's rule and her marriage to Philip II of Spain. Elizabeth was held at the Tower for 2 months and released on May 19th, the anniversary of her mother's death. The only American to be held at the Tower of London was Henry Lawrence, a slave trader and later politician. He was captured at sea by the British in 1780. He remained a prisoner at the Tower for 15 months until his release in exchange for Lord Cornwallis on December 31st, 1781. As you can see, much like Blarney Castle, the steps of the Beauchamp Tower are very small and the stairways are curved. Many prisoners left behind carvings in the walls in the tower, which are protected and preserved today by a layer of plexiglass. Over in the Bloody Tower are more rooms where prisoners are held, prisoners like Sir Walter Raleigh. Raleigh's study in the Tower of London was located on the lower floor of the Bloody Tower. He spent 13 years in prison there during the reign of James I, using his time to write, study, and cultivate a garden. The Bloody Tower is a medieval structure associated with the disappearance of the princes in the tower, and Raleigh's study is now part of the historic site. Before we continue, it should be known that the grounds contained a royal menagerie for a few centuries. Gifts of exotic animals were given between monarchs for many years. Unfortunately, no one really knew how to properly care for many of these animals, and most of these animals were not naturally equipped to handle the colder climate. Many died before their time. It was open to the public in the 18th century with the price of admission being 3 halfpence, or bringing in a dog or cat to be fed to the lions. Yes, I'm just as horrified to say it as you are to hear it, but it's part of the history of the Tower of London. We move on to the area of the Crown Jewels, with a military guard protecting the area. While usually a unit of the British Armed Forces, the guards can also be from Commonwealth countries where the British monarch is head of state, which is what I believe we are seeing today. Since we didn't get to see the changing of the guard at Buckingham Palace, this was a nice replacement. The line itself to get in to see the Crown Jewels was too long for our short visit. One of the most iconic sights at the Tower of London is its ravens. According to legend, if the ravens ever leave the tower, the kingdom will fall. It was decreed by Charles II in the mid-1600s that at least 6 ravens are kept on the grounds at all times, cared for by a dedicated raven master. These birds have become a symbol of both mystery and tradition at this historic site. Finally, the awaited performance we saw outside the White Tower. If you know what it's about, please let us know in the comments.
And I'm not just so handsome, I'm so handsome! Oh, my name's Matthias, I'm king of Ireland, and I'm here to get married, but do you like it or not? Wait, wait. Excuse me, are you married? Yes, but are you princess? That's fine, I'm sure we can put you on reserve. You there, are you married? I'm not married! You said that without moving your lips. Sorry, reserve people, you're off your list. I'm marrying you!
And guys are here.
Let's go!
Spirit fingers.
Oh, very good dancing, everybody. And now I can take my new bride back to Ireland.
Goodbye, brother. I'll miss you. Goodbye, everyone. I'll miss you.
Wave her off, everyone!
No, sorry, excuse me. Look, this next part of the story happens in Ireland. So, well, you two need to stay so that we can see it. And then to go, Brad, you'll have to go. Yes. Bye.
Join us next time as we take a break from our trip to show you some of the top spots for Beatles fans to visit while in the UK. We'll start in Liverpool with a deeper look into the Beatles Museum on Matthew Street, show more footage from the Cavern Club, and let you in on which band members' childhood homes you can tour. We'll travel down to London, too, to give you all the information you need to get to Abbey Road, see where the house is that the band lived in, and which iconic location in Beatles history is now in Abercrombie & Fitch. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please give us a like and consider commenting and/or subscribing. This will help us learn which videos you like best. Also, be sure to follow us everywhere at Grecoban.